What's up, everybody? Welcome to Quantum Ascent. I have Hyperliquid up on the screen here, the market cap chart. Some big moves here for Hype over the last few days, up 20% today. Yesterday, up 12.5%. So there's a reason for that. Hyperliquid came out yesterday, and it sounds like they are allowing commodities trading over there on Hyperliquid. So there's a huge silver futures volume happening right now. All right, so that's the reason for the move. But one thing I want to mention is it happens at a really interesting spot that they call for it right here. And we'll get into that in a sec. Before we do, let's talk about why we're using the market cap chart. If you look down here, the circulating supply and the total supply do not match. Not only that, they're not even close. So at some point, there's going to be a ton of tokens distributed onto the market. Right now, only about 33% of them in circulation. So huge inflationary pressure. I don't know the release schedule or any of that, but that will end up affecting the price at some point if it hasn't already. So we got to use the market cap chart to check out our measurements. So a couple reasons it's really interesting that that news came out right there. First of all, let's draw fibs over from the high to the low. This coin's not very old. Came out like pretty much after the Trump pump and just was straight down upon release for like, where were we at here? Lost 69% before it ever did anything. But if you look, came down, rested on the 0.5 of that range, right? Additionally, if we flip this and we look for retracements taking the low to the high, what else do we see? Well, you have the 786 in there of this range, the 0.5 on the broader range, and that is exactly the area we ended up finding support. On top of this, yesterday, right on the 786, that's when they announced the futures trading. Bam, shot us up off the floor. So in addition to the fibs coming in as support at the opportune time, the other thing you need to look at is, well, let's try to connect as many of these tops as we can, right? You see, if you take it from that high back there in September, we got that top, that top, that top, that one, that one, that one. We are now busting through it, right? So finally, with a little bit of momentum getting through there on the shorter time frame, you could draw another line and you could take these lines as well, right? Hit that, hit that, hit that, hit that, exceeded it, hit it. Yesterday was when it popped through there. So there's a couple different trend lines, and that's why trend lines are tricky. You take right there, we're taking the outermost from the same point. You can see we're breaking through that as well. You can take it even further back, slice through some of these tops, but either way, right now, hype is starting to pop through that stuff. So on the way back up, some areas that we want to be paying attention to. I mean, this high right here got stopped out, 9.45 billion, just short of 10. And that's kind of where we're headed right now. So could we catch some resistance there? Sure, we could, but definitely a nice move off the floor here for hype. That bottom being set January 21st, and we're now 45% up off the floor. So everything moving fine, right? News event at a good time, pops us through some resistances, and now we still have we still got all of this to make it through. But I do think that ends up happening here in an alt season. So let's talk about where potentially this thing could be headed. It's tough because this is a younger coin, so things could get carried away. But let's first look for some confluence, see if we can find any. And we can. We have some at the former all-time high. We have one at the 3618 of the broad range, the 1618 of the near range. So I'm going to start marking this stuff out a little bit because these are the levels we're going to want to be paying attention to as we get rolling here through an alt season. So we look at that right there. We can't ignore a full extension of that last range. Again, especially on a younger asset, that thing could get going. So that has us up there. Right now, across the board in markets, we're looking at like 10 to 20 X's, right? And this market cap's a little bit bigger than most. What is it ranked? It's ranked 12th. So this is the 12th largest crypto right now. All right, but we look at these areas of confluence here, or right here, right? And we say, all right, well, how far are we from there? Again, a lot of the market, 10 to 12X. That's only a 3X to get you up there. A full extension here, closer to a 7X, right, on a larger cap coin. We're also counting 10 to 20X from a lot of the coins from further down. Well, if it was still sitting where it was a couple days ago, that gives us the same percentage rise, or at least in the ballpark. So I'm going to be looking, guys. I really think, again, this thing could get away from us with being a younger coin, unless we do end up having at least from a price perspective, end up having a bunch of tokens released that could affect the price. But looking from a market cap, this all looks pretty clean. And if you're looking for, potential past this, I mean, it's very much on the table and we can get there. First things first, let's start taking out these retracements and let's start taking out these levels here too. So like, I'm just going to show it anyway. A lot of times in a third wave, because you have a 1, 2, and we're waiting on, a 3, 4, 5 potentially. And right now we're just talking about probably a massive third wave, or at the minimum, we're talking about a macro like A, B, C that gets us up. Okay. So whether this wave 4 ends up rolling over all the way, or it's just, a bear market before wave 5, remains to be seen. But if this is an ABC, there's one way we want to look at it. We can do this. Oops, I'm going to get rid of that low to high here. Well, where does that take us? That gets us out here to the 2618 would be a perfect ABC. And it coincides with that. All right, I still think we're getting higher than that. So if this is indeed a 5-wave move, sometimes what you can do, and there are other examples of this in the market. I'm not going to go find them right now. But from a third wave perspective, I mean, 250 billion is huge, right? The crypto market would really have to take off for something like that to happen. But sometimes in a third wave, you can move the 236 up to the top and it ends up getting some kind of third wave like that. If that were the case, this then takes us to that high end, right? This is about a 28x away. That's massive, especially, again, that would put us at 253 billion. So it's not lost on me that's nuts, but it is technically a possibility for us at this point. All right, so that's way blow off up there. Let's take this data here, extrapolate it over, and find out what we get. I'll give you that as a blow off top target, but it's going to look nuts when we put it into to regular terms here. So let's say 207%. That's going to be our ultra conservative here for hype. So hype USD. I feel like I had to do USDT for this guy. 206% from the current price. Where does that put us? That puts us just shy of like $100 out there at like $91 for that guy. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's pull this all the way down to the bottom. That was that first one. Okay. Both of these set a new high. This next one, which we're going to call our primary, is about a 7x, 612% there. So we take 612% from the current price level. That puts us right around like 211. All right, right there. That thing went a little high for me. Right about there, 211. All right. And then this big one, which again, this is our blow off top target here for hype. And again, it's a young coin, so it could do it. This market cap is just really high. 28x, 27. Why do I keep doing that? 2,700%. Let's go here. 2,700%. Jeez, that thing, is that even going to stay in the screen? Right about there. That gets you out there to $830. So I get it. That's a ways away, man, but it is technically possible mathematically. We showed it here using fibs, right? And even when I pull that 236 up to here, you can tell like both of these other targets are still fibs within that, right? That lines up to 382. That lines up with the 1. So those targets look pretty valid. Again, I wouldn't be holding out for that. I'd be letting go a ton on the way up to the primary target. And then if we kept going, I'd be paying attention. 100 billion is a nice round number, right? I'd be paying attention to all that stuff as we go as well. So what we'll say, though, for Hyperliquid is the conservative is $91, the primary 211, and the blow-off top 830. I know that was a lot of math. I hope you guys kept up. We do a ton of that over there in the Quantum Circle, real-time trades, access to my portfolio, 2 daily macro videos, a Discord, and I teach you how to do TA. Link to that is in my bio. If not, Thank you guys so much for being here. If you could follow, like, repost, I want to get this out to as many people as I can before it's too late. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one.